Every adventure, no matter how grand or exciting, begins with a simple step. And today's video is one of those simple steps. If you're new to watch my videos, then well, you've joined us at just the right time, because very recently we took on a brand new patch of garden land, around 60 meters by 15 meters. And today's video marks the first part of my adventure, taking on this brand new space, looking at joining it to our existing jungle, exotic and tropical style garden. But today's video, it's not about exciting planting. It's not about building. It's not about getting cracking, making some beds. Those will be coming very soon. But today's video, much more important, and something you'll probably want to do if you take on a new space. It's securing the boundaries. Behind me then, you can see the area in question, truly a beautiful little plot of potential. And even on quite a chilly, bracing midwinter day, the sun just trying to peek through. You don't need that sun to imagine the potential and opportunities here. But that aside for 1 minute, regular eagle-eye viewers, you might have noticed today's video is a sponsored video. Don't worry, no one's paid me to put it together or to say anything, but today's video is helpfully sponsored by meshdirect.co.uk, and that's partly down to your help. Yes, for someone who could maybe uncomfortably identify as a YouTuber or content creator, or even worse, a little bit sick of my stomach here, influencer. I get a lot of emails every week from companies asking to sponsor videos or send me free products in return for taking up your time. Which, let's face it, a lot of these products, they're not worth my time, they're certainly not worth your time. I get all kinds of random things, and I have saved most of them into a folder. We'll go through that in another video. But I get things like cat food. I don't want cat food, I don't even have a cat. Beauty products, makeup, things like that. Again, I don't need that, especially not with this face, but this time it's different. Following the huge, overwhelming positive response to my jungle garden journey video I put out a few videos ago, going through the story behind getting this piece of land here, I actually built up the self-confidence, the courage to go to a couple of companies who sell things I'll be needing for my project here and say, I was going to buy from you anyway. You're a good company, good reviews. Would you do anything in terms of discount to help support my channel in return for a mention? And that's where meshdirect.co.uk came in. I sent them a little email explaining the journey so far and a link to that video. And they very kindly agreed to help support the channel, help support me, and help support the garden progress here by knocking a good chunk off the price of this mesh. Now, I was going to buy it anyway, there's no doubt there. So don't feel that I'm pushing something on you. I will, of course, put a link to their website in the description below, and they'll kindly be using this video as part of their knowledge hub to help share what I'll be doing here with other people maybe taking on the same. But today's video, it really is a priority. If you've bought a new section of garden land like this, or a small paddock, path, or field, you might have an existing hedge like we've got here. This is absolutely key if you want to help secure the space, particularly if you've got pets like we have, small dogs. We've got 2 miniature Dachshunds. They'd definitely try to escape. So let me go into the problem and what I'll be using to sort it. Our new land then, it starts from, well, there'll be a fence going roughly across there. So all this hedge, that forms the boundary to our garden. And as you can see, I've been a busy boy. Yes, I got my brand new DeWalt hedge trimmer, definitely paid for with all my own money, and I use that to tidy the hedge up. Don't let anyone tell you that battery tools are no good and that you need to go petrol. Honestly, as long as you use them for what they're supposed to do, it was absolutely fantastic and I got the job done no problem at all. And then this morning, I've used a rake to drag as much of this grass and other things growing right next to the hedge so I can see right down to the bottom. But what is the problem? Well, the problem is very simple. This hedge is a bit of a mixture. There's all kinds of hawthorns, hollies, ivies, everything in it. And inside the hedge, you will see there's also a mixture of metal supports forming the initial barrier. Here, this one has got quite large holes. So that poses 2 problems. Firstly, what are you going to let into your garden? You know, can rabbits get in? What else can get in? And secondly, more importantly to me, our dogs can get out. Yes, they would absolutely get out of there. So this video, if you're in a similar situation, I want to go through what I'll be doing to secure the boundary, to help stop the dogs escaping and help stop rabbits and other potential pests or wildlife getting into the garden. You can see there's some quite big gaps like that, so definitely need to get those sorted because our dogs will be straight under there. But don't worry, I'm not at all against wildlife. There will be plenty of wildlife in this garden here. It really is such a huge part of my plans and what I want to enjoy over the years. But very simply, the first step has to be securing the boundaries. And for that, I've had to trim things back, get the hedge nice and neat, right up the existing wire so I can put some new wire up against it. You can see as we're walking down, it's a fair odd length of it. So this is going to be a task. The new garden itself, about 60 metres long. The bit with the polytunnel, about 16 metres. So all in all, right up to that hedge there, it is, well, definitely nearly 80 metres, 76 metres, somewhere around there, to secure. And then with this back hedge here, which is going to stay a little bit wilder, again, you'll notice that there's some fairly obvious holes in it. Down there, for example, and all along it. I'm pretty sure if our dogs wanted to get through or over that bit there, they absolutely would. It wouldn't take any kind of effort at all. So yes, I have had to chop it back, hack it back a little bit to get in, but I've got absolutely no concerns about any of this growing back again. Believe me, within 6 months or so, I'm pretty sure you won't even be able to see what we're doing today. So that is the problem: a boundary that needs securing, a garden that needs protecting, and 2 sausage dogs that need keeping in. What's the next step? Well, it's all about a little delivery. Now, I will be honest with you, the old me would have done something similar to this. Basically get the cheapest kind of chicken wire that I could get off eBay and some cable ties and literally attach it to the existing. Any solution has to be retrofitted, if you like. But let's face it, chicken wire doesn't last forever. I'm in my mid-30s and I want to enjoy this garden for as long as I possibly can. It's something I only want to do once. And that's where the stainless steel wire mesh comes in. Yes, meshdirect.co.uk, they've sorted me out. The parcel came very, very quickly. Let me share with you what I've got. Right then. So, 3 boxes, 2 of stainless steel chicken wire. That is going to last. Yes, it was definitely an expense I had to consider, and partly the reason why I actually reached out to them. But stainless, you know when you put it in, it is definitely going to last significantly longer than any galvanised mesh could. And then we've got some exciting tools and bits here. Obviously, I've got my mallet and hammer over there. Got some cable ties, just in case I need to tie it on in a slightly more traditional fashion. Gloves, knee pads, learned from the patio mistake there. And then just a little saw and bits and pieces. Things that will help on the journey. But what's in this box here? So inside the first package, we have got this little baby. These then are hog tie pliers, which very simply allow me to attach little bands, little metal bands, to connect the new mesh onto the existing where I can. Definitely a lot more long-term and a lot neater solution than just using loads of cable ties. So I've never used one of these before. We'll get into it. I'm pretty sure it'll be straightforward. If you watch my videos for a while, you know that definitely nothing ever goes wrong. Hardly ever. So that new little tool. Inside here, we've got a load of ground pegs. Now, I'll be honest with you, I went a little bit mad and just got plenty because I didn't know exactly how many I'd need. Obviously, if you're putting a brand new fence in, you want to go well under the ground, don't you, to stop rabbits and things getting in. But this is an existing hedge. We are a couple of boundaries away from what I would call actual countryside, so I don't think there's going to be any larger animals trying to get in. But still, it's well worth going for it. And I want to get this mesh right up next to the ground. Remember, we are talking about an existing hedge with roots. I don't think there's going to be anything burrowing right under it, and you can't stop mice anyway, can you? But these knocked in will make sure that our pesky little dogs, or possibly pesky little daughters in the future, won't try to escape. So, plenty of those. And then, these shears, very simply, to cut the wire in sections where I get to the gate and those kind of things. So hopefully those will work well. They'd certainly feel heavy duty enough. So it's time to get everything out. Then we can start laying this roll out and actually get the fence connected. This then is actually a 50-meter roll, 25mm hexagonal mesh, and it's also 90 centimeters tall. So it'd be the perfect height for this to dog-proof it. I mean, let's face it, with 2 miniature sausage dogs, it could probably half this height and do its job just fine. But they are surprisingly athletic, particularly when they want to escape. So I'm just going to roll the mesh out. And then it's time for the bit which could possibly be hard work, or it might be exceptionally enjoyable. I don't really know which way it's going to go, which is basically lie it out along the full length of the hedge, starting where I need to start and finishing somewhere up in the sun behind me. Possibly should have cleared up all the hedge trimmings, and as you can see, it's going to come and follow me. It's dangerous ground when you try to do how-to videos, isn't it? And normally everything goes wrong. But we need to get this rolled out. And here we go then. 50 meters is quite a length. The mesh laid out, just use some gloves. Obviously, if this was an RHS endorsed video, I'd be wearing, hard hat, respirator, goggles, high vis, everything that works. But, it'll probably just come to bite me, and no doubt there'll possibly some kind of injury from my own stupidity at some point in the journey. But here you can see the full 50-meter roll laid out. Well, I say the full roll. I managed to just squeeze the last bit out, took me back to my strongman training, working the old wrists, getting the last little bit done, and then just proceeded to coil back and come back all that way. But never mind, it's now time to roughly get it stood up at this end and start to attach it to the hedge. That is the real job here. Well, to be honest, the real job, as always, is in the preparation, the cutting of the hedge, chopping off of the bits that are sticking through, preparing the grass at the bottom there. But let's face it, this is now the job. Get this stood up in sections, roughly attach it, and then I can have a go with my exciting new pliers. The actual pliers themselves seem to be incredibly easy to use. So someone like me with, we'll say, minimal natural practical abilities can master it. All you very simply do is open this little yellow catch at the bottom. You see there, you've now got pliers. And at this end here, you pull this end up here. See, I can even do this whilst talking to you. Drop that bottom bit down, and you then got room to put the actual ties in, load your ammo. You're gonna push those down there. They drop in like that. Push this bit back again, clip it back in like that. And you will see now that the first one is lined up, ready to go. Now, let me just take you off this tripod and show you how they clip on in practice. So I've got the camera in my hand then, a dangerous level of multitasking for anyone who knows me. And here are the pliers. You'll see a new clip ready to go. And you very simply get it round the wire. I would obviously have my new bit of mesh butted up right next to this and then clip it on. Simple as that. And you can see there, you've now got a little metal loop that will encompass both the new mesh and the existing wire grid. So that means I've got a secure, long-lasting fixing that looks neat, tidy, and will hopefully stand the test of time no matter what our UK northern weather throws at it. So it's now time to just basically prop up the mesh and get clipping it. But obviously I won't be able to prop up 50 meters in one go, so I'll be using a couple of metal posts to do it section by section. You can see then that I've used a couple of metal pins or posts just to hold it up temporarily. I first put in one at that end there just to stand it upright. That one's worked through the mesh. And then I'm just using them to produce these little bays just to hold the mesh back neatly. If you try to do too much in one go, it definitely billows, sag, or you'd end up with it pushing away from the fencing areas. So this way I can get some nice tension on the end there, do it one section at a time. Whether or not it comes to be an error that I actually chose to unravel the whole roll, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. There's possibly a lot to be said about just having one complete roll here and moving it down section at a time. But, I wanted to show you what 50 meters stainless steel looks like, and I've achieved that. Well, let me get on then with the actual clipping of it to the fence, trying to bring it in towards the hedge, clip it into that mesh there, do the best I can. Yes, we've got the ties, but I've also got some cable ties as backup because I won't always be able to find the perfect place to attach it, and I might have to rope it in some of that thicker wire or the branches themselves. So let me get started and we'll see how long it takes us, because I've got plenty to do. It's now then around 2:15. Yes, a little chunk of life happened, as it always tends to, and I've not quite done as much as I intended to do. Well, basically, I've only really just started. Not finished yet, but the light is already starting to fade during these shortest days of the year. But when it comes to this setting, to be honest with you, attaching it to the existing mesh has really been incredibly straightforward. I've tried to keep it tight, and by no means is this the finished result. I'll be tucking in at the top, letting some of that ivy and other vegetation flop over a little bit more, and I'm sure lower down it will grow over it. Basically, what I've done when it came to the ties is whether there's some exposed wire, put a clip on it. As simple as that. And I will, once I've finished, go back all the way along the length and keep putting as many clips in as I can. Wherever I can see a wire, I'll attach it and make it as secure and long lasting as possible. Let me put some of those pegs into the ground, really secure this, and see what a little section of the finished result might look like. A short while later then, after a good chat with my neighbour Peter on that side, yes, I've got some pegs in the ground. I've done it from this post here, just to give you an idea of what I'll call almost the end result. Obviously, I still need to secure the top, to tuck it in, tie it in wherever I can, just to hide it a little bit more. But you'll see, overall, it is a pretty tidy job. And to be honest with you, in terms of the actual time, well, most of the time I've spent faffing around with the video, really, but in terms of actually doing the job, it's very straightforward, very simple. Like with everything, it's all about the planning and preparation. Taking the time to cut the hedge back and then also remove as much of the grass as I can, really let me take that mesh down to ground level. Obviously, I will say, if you've got dogs that dig, or if you've got a problem with rabbits potentially or other animals on the far side of your fence, definitely take the time, particularly if you've got the privilege of putting in a brand new hedge or fence, to dig the mesh into the ground. That way you can secure it properly and prevent all kinds of problems. But as our two dogs don't tend to dig much, and there's no issues, touch wood, with rabbits on that side, I've just taken it down to ground level. What I have found is some of the pegs pushed in a little too easily, so I've taken those out, moved them along until I found a new harder bit of ground to really secure and support the fence appropriately. All in all then, a fairly straightforward practical task, but an important one if you've just taken on a brand new garden, paddock or open space with hedges that are a little too open. Obviously there's areas like this here where, let's face it, the dogs are never going to go through here. But for every one of those bits, there's an opportunity, and those opportunities have been closed off now. The end result is, as soon as I finish this section here and at the far end, the dogs will be able to come out, and as I'm out here messing around, playing in the garden, they can also do the same. They've got so much more space to enjoy. So as the sun gets lower, it's now time for me to put down the camera and actually get on with continuing this section of mesh, because there's plenty more to do, plenty more to do. And as is generally the theme of my videos, time has very much run away with me, even at this early stage in the year. But there we go, I'll crack on with it, and I'll possibly end this video with a predictable montage of the sun going down as I keep on beavering away, attaching this mesh to the hedge. Huge thank you to meshdirect.co.uk for taking the time to support me. Really, their discount helped me get started with this job a little bit quicker than it would have done otherwise. Definitely much appreciated. And if you've got any mesh or fencing requirements, certainly check out their website, link in the description below, and reflect that positivity and support right back at them. I appreciate every one of you for watching this video, and I appreciate you all for taking the time to see what is quite a mundane party adventure. The exciting stuff will be coming soon. Not just exciting for the dogs, who are, I'm sure, thrilled and ready to start running around this garden, but also for me, because adding this fence means I can take this one down over here to open up the garden, to link this garden to our current garden, and to provide a new walkway through at the end there. It's going to be an exciting video coming soon. I'm really looking forward to that. Just to see what it looks like when the garden has this backdrop behind it, complete with all my new planting plants in front of it. That is worth every little bit of all this hard work. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all very soon. If you've got any questions, comments, ideas and tips, please leave them in the comment section below. Thanks as always. I'll see you later. Bye. Okay, I was going to leave the video there. I know what you're thinking. First video of the year, new George and all that. Well, I've actually pretty much finished a fencing. Yes, a project I've actually completed. Well, very nearly. Okay, so temporarily, I've got the mesh just here until our neighbour moves everything back there and puts a new fence up. But in terms of our boundary, it's pretty much about there. You'll see evidence that the boys have actually been playing outside and they haven't escaped, I am pleased to tell you. Yes, there's a little bit more work tying in the very top of the mesh back. For example, here, I need to push it right back against that metal there and put some really big cable ties around it. That'll tuck the whole thing in nicely. And as I mentioned a couple of times, once this grows out a little bit more, as I will let it, you won't be able to see this mesh anyway. But as we walk down, you'll see, job pretty much done. It took a few hours more. I'd like to say they're on a beautiful sunny day like today, crisp and bracing though it is, but fortunately they were done the day when it was chucking it down, but I got the job sorted. Maybe made a mistake in some bits by not having the mesh laying onto the floor just a little bit. So like I said, if you've got an issue with rabbits or digging dogs, then definitely make sure you put it into the ground or really have that overlap. But for my purposes at least, I am pretty happy. There's probably another few hours really of just tidying it up, putting some more of those little ties on where I can, neatening the whole job up. But on the whole, I wanted this whole area to be secured, ready for our dogs to run around and play in, and that is exactly what I've achieved. If you look up that far end of the garden there, you will see a multitude of blackbirds. Yes, the apple tree that was holding all that fruit, it's dropped it with this cold spell that we've now had. The rest of the video was filmed over the Christmas holidays. Now we're into the new year and it's started to get cold. I won't lie to you, I think there was probably between, we'll say 30 and 50 blackbirds all flocking around and feasting on those apples earlier. It truly was a sight to see. But there we go. A job very nearly finished. And I've also done some other jobs, including a bit of pruning on the apple tree, which I'll show you in the next video. I have decided I might add more of a hedge on that back edge there, but we'll see. Something again for another day. But there we are. A job almost finished. Mesh against the hedge. And you can see from this side here, you can barely see it, can you? Fits in very nicely. So yes, a few £100 of mesh later, but money well worth spending because now the boundary is secure. The boys can run around to their heart's content. And also, for me, it lets me get on with taking that fence out. Yes, once that red fence in front of me is out, the garden will truly feel like mine. And to see that, you'll have to check out my next video. So thank you very much again for watching what has been quite a mundane task, but now the real excitement lies ahead with that fence there. See you later.